I'm with Dani Hart today. Hi, Dani.
Hey.
So you are the head of growth at growthhacker.com.
Yeah, I mean we're a pretty small team right now, so I would say the whole team really feels the pressures of growing the product or growing recently the conference. But I am the growth master behind the scenes, so I am the one running the weekly growth meeting and coordinating with Sean on which objectives should be moved forward.
Okay, and how did you get started with growth hacking?
It's funny. So I actually started my career in online fundraising. So I worked with clients like World Wildlife Fund, the Wilderness Society, Defenders of Wildlife, and I worked on an agency that actually worked with these different nonprofits on online strategy. And so they were bringing new best practices to the nonprofits and helping to improve retention and improve activation. So once they have those leads, what are they doing with them, whether it's a welcome series or whatever that is, like we focused more on the retention and the activation side than we did on the acquisition side. And so that kind of framed my mind from the get-go to just focus on the things that are going to make the biggest impact for those organizations. And so for me, that was really easy to correlate into business, right? You can almost look at a nonprofit as a bootstrapped startup, right? Because they don't have much cash to just throw around. They're taking every penny very seriously. They have donors that they need to respect, and so it's really cool to now look back and say, well, that's why I totally understood growth hacking when I finally met Sean Ellis. It was like, oh, this all just clicks because I had been doing it without even really realizing it.
Yeah, so you were doing like growth hacking without knowing it was growth hacking.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. And maybe so you've been doing growth for how many years?
So I guess about, whether it's been called growth hacking or not, about 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe you have some funny fact to share about growth hacking, or about you and doing in the your marketing experience.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a funny fact. I mean, I think it's pretty interesting that I didn't even realize I was doing growth hacking until I came to Growth Hackers.
Yeah.
So that I think is a funny fact. But I did once actually receive a poem back to me in email. It was a poem labeled "Green Eggs and Spam," and so it was an email that we had sent every week, and it was a newsletter, and we sent it no matter what. We didn't really cater to our audience, and so we started feeling that with the responses, and one of them was this beautiful poem that really hit home for me. I actually have it printed out on my desk because it's just like the reminder to me, don't spam your customers. Make sure you know your audience, right? Segment if you need to, but don't be throwing a bunch of crap if no one's reading it.
Okay. And so you doing your job at growthhacker.com, you get a lot of insight from a lot of growth hackers and a lot of people involved in growth. And what would you say that are the most attracting topic in the growth hacking? What are the topics that are the more researched and views?
Mm-hmm. So I think on growthhackers.com, definitely the case studies. Those are our biggest sources of traffic. So you can see how Airbnb has, fought relentlessly to get where they are today. And look at Etsy. You can look at a lot of these different companies that it's kind of, in the news, it's like, oh, this, startup hit IPO or whatever, but they don't really talk about the process to get there. And I think what we're starting to see more of is that people are talking about how they're building their growth teams internally. They're talking about the process that they're using, and they're trying to share the knowledge, because at the end of the day, it's not that one growth hack that's going to make the difference. It might, initially, and it might show some fleeting growth, but at the end of the day, that's not sustainable if you're not continuously learning and you're continuously tapping into consumer insights and what your customers are saying. So I think, we're starting to move more into the direction of that sustainable growth versus that one hack that's gonna just skyrocket everything.
Because we know that we're all looking for this growth hack, but we know that it never happens. So makes sense. Makes sense. And within the R framework, do you say people are more interested in acquisition, activation, retention, referral, revenue, whatever? like outside of those case studies that you talk about, do you feel like people are more interested in like which stage of a growth are those people are looking for?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. We actually send a daily growth idea of the day, and so with that, we get to see which ones people are clicking on, which is nice. So we can see that a lot of people are really interested in Facebook advertising right now.
Okay, so paid advertising.
Yeah, and if you look at their analytics recently, their new release, you can see that Facebook is really looking at that full customer journey. They're not just looking at the acquisition side. And so I think that's what's really interesting now, right? Because you can say, okay, I can acquire this person, but I also need to use Facebook or whatever to then activate them and retain them and maybe turn a cold lead into a warm one. And, there's a lot of different things that you can do with Facebook. And so I think that, we can label it as an acquisition driver, but at the end of the day, I think it has an impact on all 5 levers.
Okay. And so with like all the people that are coming to your website now, I guess a lot of teams are working, using the content that you're producing to get some insight about what they should be doing. And among the team that you are maybe talking to or interviewing or whatever, what do you see that those teams are doing that the others that are not successful are not?
Yeah, so what's been interesting is actually talking to a lot of the speakers for this Growth Hackers conference. That's tomorrow. I know that this will probably be live after the fact, but in talking to them, they all have built some kind of system where they are improving their velocity of testing. So a test, whether that is testing new pricing or testing a new product or a new feature. I mean, all of these things are being tested as they go out the door, and the ones that are testing faster and have a higher velocity of experimentation, those are the ones that are seeing that substantial growth. And I also think that mission-based marketing, so finding those organizations, you can look at Duolingo, for example, their mission is to make education free, right? Okay. So that's it, and it's very easy to sell that, right? It's very easy for a customer to then say, oh, I'm going to refer my friend because I want them to learn as well. And so we're seeing a lot of that, mission-based marketing really kind of take off, and I think we'll see that in tomorrow's presentations as well.
Okay, cool. So thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
I hope you guys enjoyed the show. And
me too.
Good luck for the conference tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Bye.